Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
The new land is near. Yes, I tell you, the new land is but a view away. Hang tightly, for as your knuckles turn white for gripping too long, soon the blood of God will be flowing through the city. Yes, the heart is pumping and the city is awake again, bustling around, labor pains gone, nothing remembered but the sweet smell of the Lord's favor. Be joyful, be expectant, for what a season we walk into. Every tear is wiped clean, and every lash is healed fully. Yes, no more aches and pains, no more wandering in chaos. I am a righteous God, and every dog will have their day. Yes, every dog will have their day. Laughter resounds and the glory falls. Catch it or go into a great slumber, for the time will be present soon. You won't want to miss it. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Olive Press. We are the Oliver Sisters. I'm Madison.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Taylor. And are you ready to get ignited?
TikTok, says the Lord. It's time to take the blood pressure of the United States, for it is rising.
It is August 5th. We are standing on the top of Hollywood Mountains.
It is September 16th, 2019. We are in Minnesota. It's our last day.
October 6th, 2019.
Chicago, Illinois.
December 29th, 2019 at Rockefeller Center.
2020 is going to be a supernatural year, unlike anything that the world has ever seen before.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hello, I'm Terry Radcliffe, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hello, my name is Ross Silvestri. I'm from Arlington, Virginia.
My name is Hepzibah Vicente.
Hey, so I'm Justine.
Hello, my name is Sheila, and I am from Minnesota.
Buenos días, Red de Dios. Yo soy Linda Gutierrez de Carnuel, Nuevo Mexico. Hi, may God bless all of you. My name is Linda Gutierrez.
This is Johnny Walker Cummins. Just wanted to say hi.
This is Becky Wood in Dublin, Georgia.
Hello, Triple-Braided cord.
I know a lot of work was done in those 5 states that I was a part of. Yet I can imagine all 12. You know, what's going to come from this is going to be very powerful to see God's hand work and show everyone just the full meanings in time from what those prayers did.
Well, everybody, this is
it. We are post-tour. Guys, can you believe it?
No, I cannot believe it. The journey has come to a completion. Yeah. Our journey of Tour for the Nation, our intercessory prayer tour that happened in 2019 before the coronavirus pandemic broke out. Mm-hmm. This is when the Lord revealed a prophecy to Jordan in the middle of the night in 2018 that said the nation was sick and about to undergo heart surgery. He pointed out 12 specific states with 12 different words to pray into each state. And we traveled in 2019 to one state each month and gathered with groups of believers to pray for the healing of that state and for our nation.
I'll never forget before, when we were in that decision-making process of discerning God's voice and saying, Lord, is this you? We were living in Nashville, Tennessee at the time. We're from Maryland.
That's right.
And he was telling us, return home quickly before the clock strikes 12. And Madison, I think you said it before, but it was long when we first started this. Why don't you just say what that vision was again? Because it's about to come full circle in this aftermath.
Yes. Basically, I just saw fireworks shooting off in the sky, and the Lord told me what was gathered here in Nashville will be displayed. Is that right? In Maryland?
Yeah, that's right.
It was in Maryland?
Well, we realized that he had taken us to Nashville at that time. We thought it was to pursue a certain dream that we had, but God had different plans in mind, and it was to equip us and train us for a healing ministry. And so he was telling you what was purchased here in a way, what was attained in Nashville. We were there for a year and a half. Will be put on display back in Maryland, basically when you return home. Yeah. And so we could not even fathom that, but there was more to the vision, right?
It said the fire, like the fireworks, the fire will fall, and to those who it hits, it will either, catch them ablaze with the fire of the Holy Spirit, or they will be scorched and be burned.
Didn't you see Cinderella? Because I think that's really important.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, tell him.
The Lord said, return home quickly before the clock strikes 12. That's what it was. Yes. I saw a big clock striking 12, and it was like us running home in that Cinderella outfit, but like turning to rags, like our dreams of what we wanted in Nashville, kind of. That was our dream. We were like running back home to where it just felt like back to normal, back to your everyday routine. It was no more glamorous, and we didn't really want to.
But it was after we said yes. And this was all in the year 2018. It was around October, November, so the end of the year. And we started saying, I guess, when God's saying return home before the clock strikes 12, he is talking about get home before the new year. Right. Get home for the start of 2019. And it was as soon as we said yes, even though we had no idea why we would be going home, he revealed the mission. And that's when he said, look back at that prophecy, that of the prophecy over the nation. And actually, we're going to play that prophecy right now so that you can hear it one more time, because we haven't played it in a while. So check it out.
Written on February 7th, 2018 at 3:07 a.m. TikTok, says the Lord, it's time to take the blood pressure of the United States, for it is rising. The heart is in Tennessee. The heart must be healed there, and from that will flow an outpouring of healing. The top bordering states are the mind. Their thinking must be corrected, made straight in the eyes of God. The East Coast is the left hand, and the West is the right. From them, evil is allowed entrance to the body. It is time to be stopped. The bottom bordering states are the feet. They walk out the decrees of the Lord, or rather they should. It is time. A man can plan the days of his life, but it is God who orders his steps. There must be a plan for restoration, a plan for each state to uphold. Heart surgery is underway. I, the Lord, have spoken. Minnesota, you are to tackle injustice. Pennsylvania, principalities. Maryland, mockery. New Jersey, aptitude. South Carolina, declaration. New York, hostility. New Mexico, outlaws. Nevada, crime. California, burglary. Tennessee, transportation. Illinois, restitution. And Georgia, counsel. These are the doors that must be unlocked. A chest, so to say. Heart surgery. The red X's are indicative of these treasure chests. For I hold the treasure that lies inside. I hold the healing that your nation is in need of. Why do you think there is a healthcare crisis? Because the nation is in poor health, and it all stems from the heart.
So it was after saying yes to just blind faith, really, of God saying return home before the clock strikes 12, that he told us look back at that prophecy. And he said, look how many states there are, 12. He said, how many months are in the new year, 12. This will be the mission. You will travel to one state each month of 2019. You will hold intercessory prayer gatherings for the healing of that state with that word and for the healing of the nation. And go as the disciples. Do not worry about where you stay. Do not worry about money. And watch what happens. And so that is the tour that we have brought you on through all these episodes. We have recapped each state and have given the revelation that God has since 2019 pieced together with each state. And where we're going to pick up is when we got home from New York, our final state. What was literally waiting on the counter when we walked through the door?
Mm-hmm. So there was a gift sent to us, and someone who we met in New Mexico had told us a couple months prior, I'm sending you something, so just be on the lookout. So we said, okay, well, so it was supposed to come like 3 months before this, but it just happened to come the weekend or the day that we returned from New York, which was around New Year's Eve into the beginning of the new year. Well, it even got sent back to her. She said, oh my gosh, it got lost in the mail. They said it got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
So we said, it's going to be a specific time when this little gift arrives. And what is it? So as we arrived back home, what was sitting on our counter was the gift. And we opened it up. And it was a ring. And it was a ring that was garnet in color.
Yep.
And it was a big stone in the middle and then 12 small stones around the outside of it. And we knew that it just represented that all of the states had been covered in the blood. And that was our victory ring that we can wear.
The championship ring.
But it could also represent the engagement ring, which we know in the spiritual really has to do with the bride of Christ getting ready for the return of Jesus. And that this was one step in preparing the bride of Christ. Because throughout this tour, the Lord had highlighted the 12 stones in the book of Revelation. Mm-hmm. And we were receiving stones along the journey that we believed were lining up with each state.
Yes.
And these 12 stones are the 12 stones of the wall that's going to surround the New Jerusalem, the new kingdom of heaven that's coming to earth. Mm-hmm. So we knew this was one mark that these states were covered in the blood. Our mission was complete, and we received that ring at the end of it. And these stones were returned for the kingdom of heaven and covered. You know, I just feel like those stones were literally in the ring. Those stones all covered in the blood. But to top it all off, which was even crazier, then we get a text from our friend, a woman in our Bible study. And she said, hey, I left a gift outside your door. Go out, make sure you get it. It's out front. We were like, what? Like, all of a sudden these gifts are coming in. We were like, what the heck? And at that same time, it was the same night.
It may have been the next day.
No, it was that same night. Our neighbor, who's been following our journey the whole time, calls us and says, girls, is it a good time if I bring over something for you? We're like, okay, now this is starting to get scary. The ring was not the same night. The two others.
Right, that's what I meant. You're right. The other two were the same night, though. But
so our neighbor brings over this huge candle that was handmade. And on the top was a wick, and in the middle, and then 12 wicks around. The exact same design as the ring. And we got chills all over it. Oh my! And he said, if you do any more, gatherings or, with your healing ministry, you can just light this and just, for the atmosphere and for the president to remember about the states. We said, oh my gosh, we just got a ring that looks exactly like this. So the ring and now the light, the lamp that is not going to burn out. Remember, it says in Revelation to keep, or I believe it's in Revelation, keep your lamp stands burning. Don't be caught with no oil when the time has come. And, you're asking someone else for their oil. Make sure your lamp is burning all the time.
So the third gift that our friend had left on our front porch just so happened to be a prayer blanket that was anointed with oil from Israel. And it had 12 healing scriptures sewn into it.
That's right.
And we said the 12. We had the three. Each gift here had the 12
12
stones, the 12 wicks, and then the 12 healing scriptures.
Yes.
Guys, and
Yes.
we could not believe what was happening. We just said, okay, this is definitely the seal to this tour here. I mean, wow.
And just what we wrote about it was, to us, these three gifts were from God, and they conveyed the message that the prayers and the revelations given through these 12 states were foundational in the building of God's kingdom and to bringing light and healing to this nation. So that's what they represent.
Yeah,
So
I'm glad that you read that. And let me have that, Matt, because I'm going to read the word that to end this year of 29, this is still 2019, in November. It was actually right after. It was, this was all before. I'm going back a month now, okay? So that was in December, all that happened. But this is November, right after our New Jersey gathering. I got home, and in the middle of the night, November 27th, 2019, at 3:34 a.m., I started writing this word down from the Lord, woke up in the middle of the night. I wrote, I see an open heaven, and in the spirit I hear, where the spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. There is coming a time when Satan will have his right to rule. But do not be afraid or dismayed, for that is why you have known what you have known. The ones who know will not have reason to fear. Take courage, he's in the waiting. Just as what you did in 2019 made way for my spirit to invade the earth, so has Satan's army been moving. You've been seeing the effects of it, but next year they will manifest in 2020. Much of what they've done, Satan's army, has only been seen in the spirit by those with spirit eyes to see. But next year, 2020, body, mind, and spirit align, and 2020 vision will be seen by all. What has been sown will be reaped, for there is a due season for everything. You sowed in the spirit, and so did Satan. The two tracks running side by side, the rails on which urgency ran. Just as God's people prepared America for healing, Satan prepared her for destruction. But next year will be the manifestation of both. God's people will be received of the ramifications of their work sown, but they will also be hated because of it. There will be much darkness, but an even greater light, for the darkness cannot extinguish the light. Remember who Satan is working for. Remember that he's leading people to a dependence on me. Though it may seem as if he's won, it only be for the purpose of winning souls back to me, to God. And then I wrote, I saw that next year, though we will see manifestation of Satan's fruit, which will be chaos, it will bring those deceived by him to a dependence on God.
Oh my goodness.
This is November of 2019.
And this is amazing because it's not like 2020 had broken out already and then she received this word when we were in the havoc. No, we were doing this prayer mission thinking, oh my gosh, what great revivals coming in 2020, 2020 vision in the spirit. Like everyone's going to be on fire. It's going to be healing for all. Yeah. We were not thinking this at all. But the fact that he gave this warning before it was even over, before what was to come, he pretty much was preparing us, even though we didn't really look at this.
Because we did not even understand this.
We will tell you, we were not prepared at all because we were devastated as 2020 came around and we just said, what was our what did we just do? No. What and why?
Why?
Did we just do a year-long tour? And how embarrassing. Telling everyone that we're, on this thing, where healing is coming, restoration is here, and now this?
But we should have known, guys, because the Lord said, destruction is coming, do not fear. But we were not, we were confused.
Yeah, we thought we were fighting it. We thought we were fighting it along the way, probably.
Yeah, but little do we know. And I just want to make clear, when God was saying, because I remember knowing, as you're writing these things, you're kind of seeing things too as God speaks. That's how it works for me. I'm so visual. And I remember when he said, remember who Satan is working for. It was that back in Job, when we look at Job and Satan goes to God and he says, God, can I test Job, your most righteous servant? Will you give me permission to do it? That's what God was showing me in this, as he was relaying this word, was Satan is ultimately working for God. That's right. God is always in control over him. Though Satan, does his thing upon the earth, he is the prince of the air, the ruler of the earth. God ultimately has control, and he uses Satan. He allows him to do his work to ultimately bring people back to a dependence on him. He allows it. And so I just wanted to explain that that's what that meant when he said, remember who Satan is working for. He's working for the Lord.
And as we told you before, with healing and healing ministry, healing looks very different in all different situations.
Well,
so although deliverance has to happen for the healing, for the nation to be filled, it must be delivered first. And that's really what the after effects. We actually went, when we realized it was a deliverance, territorial deliverance mission that we were sent on, right? We can now see that the deliverance then happened after those prayers. 2020 was the moment of deliverance, where it all had to come up, and we were going to see it all.
And actually 2021 and even now 2022, we're still in that deliverance. And we always say when you start seeing manifestations of the demonic or of evil, just say, and even in your own life, when things are coming up and we're getting angry, and I always say it's coming up because it's coming out. Right. And so that's what we're seeing. It's coming up. We feel like we're in this chaotic times, and it's scary, and maybe we're hearing things we've never heard before, but it's coming up because it's coming out. That's right. So now we're going to take a quick break to cut to some commercials. We'll be right back.
We now have hundreds of testimonials for pain relief, allergy relief, anti-anxiety, brain boost, keto boost, and many other solutions, all with 0 drugs and no side effects. Backed by scientific research and rigorous lab testing, even people who have suffered for decades are getting amazing results. Quantum is simply about 2 things. 1, intentions. As a man thinketh, so he is. And 2, renewing your mind with the Word of God.
As our audience knows, we don't promote anything unless it works. I fell off a ladder, fell down on my leg, opened it up, and there was great pain in it. So I used the patch, and immediately it went away. No pain.
This unique yet potent multisensory approach is powerful, and it works. The patch provides the touch, and the included prayer guide uses your sight, speech, and hearing to utilize the senses God gave you. That's the quantum effect. Are you ready to experience the quantum effect? Go to hisglory.me/partners. Make the choice to be free.
And this is Andrew Sorcini with us, with our preferred partner with Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it, and happy to spread the word of how people can convert their existing 401ks and IRAs into a precious metals IRA. We can help people do it. It is not a taxable event. It's fairly simple. You just fill out an 8-page application form, submit it to us, and we do all the legwork for you. So it's a non-taxable event, and we can get it done very, very quickly. You actually will own physical gold and silver in a lockbox that's held at a third-party site, but it's actual real silver and gold that you could take delivery of at any point if you wanted to.
I've been saving my allowance lately, and I wanted to get something that's a lot more safe and protected for my future, so I decided to put it into silver.
Visit our partner, Beverly Hills Precious Metal Exchange, on His Glory Family Partners.
Welcome back to the Olive Press.
So as Jordan got that prophecy in November and our tour ended in December, we were in January and
of 2020.
March of 2020. Yeah, we were March. We were actually in March of 2020. And the Lord started awakening me. It was like early on. And the Lord started awakening me with 3 warnings. 3 different nights he woke me up and it had 3 warnings, I guess, for the United States. And so I'm just going to read them to you here. And the first one was on March 4th, 2020. It said, "Take heed, the Lord speaks. The warning is coming. Be ready, for the word tastes sweet on your lips, but turns sour in your stomach. What is taking place in the physical is a sign. The Spirit is ready to speak. Take heed, the warning time is near. Sound the trumpet, sound the mandolin, for a warning alarm needs to be sounded. O sleepers, awake. The sleepless now speak. Sound it loud for all to hear, for once it comes, it does not return. Don't miss the call, it only sounds once." And then I had volcanoes and tornadoes being like a sign of this coming soon. Soon the words will spill off your lip. The time is near, the time is near. So that was that. And then on March 25th, I woke again to this. "I am about to use you as my megaphone. These are the final hours to prepare, so prepare behind the closed door. Do not go in inappropriate timing. As my people run scared and rampant, don't succumb to what you see. For those who don't see but believe are the blessed ones. I take your burdens and make them light. Hand over your power, and I will make you strong and mighty. Take heed, for this is a second warning. Do not be afraid, for it will be written so you are not caught off guard. Guard your heart, mind, and soul. Discernment is needed. Don't be foolish. Don't take the wrong path. A fire is about to spread through this nation that can neither be quenched nor contained. Let it wake up the sleepers to my voice, and let the Holy Spirit once again reign over my people. The great cleansing is coming. The great cleansing is here. That was that. And then on March 29th, I woke up one last time. And this time, I literally thought Taylor was in my room with a shofar blowing in my ear. Literally, I heard 3. It was kind of more like trumpet, but also shofar. It was like a mix. I didn't know. And they blew so loudly. And I just heard that the Lord was giving us healing for the land, and that God has created the earth for healing. Before we ever existed, all disease and illnesses were null and void. He put life here to heal us in every aspect. Healing is already here. Fountains of living water will sprout out from the ground. The kingdom is coming up. And then that's when I heard the 3 shofars to seal it. And I literally said, I shook. Like, I knew this was from heaven. I knew it was from heaven. These 3 warnings, it was kind of like the combining the 3 shofar blows were for these 3 warnings to seal them. And it was crazy. I've never had anything like it before.
And how interesting, in the very month that everything shut down, that the whole world shut down.
Oh yeah. Even like March 4th, it was barely being taught. It was like March
17th, we were out at St. Patrick's Day, and that was our last time.
And that was everyone
like acting normal, and then they said everyone in.
That's right. This was...
And I remember at that same time, like when the Elijah list or something, someone was saying people are hearing shofars.
Yes.
Yes. Like in that month of March, he was sounding the warning. He was sounding the call.
Yes.
And I remember because we were at Madison, oh my gosh, other people are hearing the shofar.
Yeah,
I remember. I did not know that till, you know, when I told Mom, and Mom was like, oh my gosh, people have been saying that all over, you know, the show she was listening to. So that was weird.
So that was in March of 2020. Okay, so now time's going by, and like we said, we are looking around us, and even though we're hearing these things, still you're in everyday life and the world, and we were starting to get disheartened by what we were seeing. And like we said, said, what was the whole point? Why did we even just do that last year if when we thought healing was coming and we're seeing nothing but the chaos? And
I will say in that, though, we truly did not have fear during any of that time.
Yes.
Because of what the Lord had spoken, that healing was coming, and we really did cling to that, and we kind of knew not to fear in the time.
Totally.
But we were disheartened by why it does not look better than we thought.
It was more disappointment and doubt in the faith, in what we had believed.
And what we had done.
Yes. And in what we believed. Yeah, exactly.
What we gave our life for a year. You're thinking like, you know, why would we do that?
Exactly. So
then what did the Lord
So
show
in
you?
July of 2020, I'll never forget, I was really just having a down day thinking about all of it, and God came in and spoke so clearly to me, and he said, what did I tell you in the prophecy? He said that heart surgery is underway and it has to happen, but healing and restoration will come. It is coming. And then he immediately took me into this vision, and I saw the United States as an actual body having a heart attack and, you know, having a near-death experience. And then I saw these defibrillators, and they were in God's hands. He was holding the defibrillators, and he said, he showed it shocking the body, the United States, but the heart. And he said, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm shocking the nation. I'm shocking the nation. And he said, what happens when a person has a near-death experience? They die, they go to heaven, they have this radical encounter with God, Jesus, and when they come back, that's all they can do is talk about that and spread that, because that's the only thing that matters. They know it's real, they experienced it, and now that's all they share. And he said, for this time, for this near-death experience time for the nation, this is what's going to happen with the people who take this time to turn their ears towards me and to tune into me. It will be as if they've had a near-death experience, and the encounters that they'll have with God will be so powerful that when these days of darkness end, and when we have the resurrection, the body comes back to life, they will be sent out for that final great harvest, and all they'll be able to talk about is God, and it'll be for the glory and for this end time harvest, the end time harvest, that the revival that's coming. And it was so right there. It was like all my doubt just was totally turned. And that's all it ever takes. That's why we're so big in encouraging people to meditate and to get into that listening prayer with God. Because when he reveals to you the purpose and gives you true understanding of situations you're going through, things you've walked through, pain you've experienced. When he gives you the purpose to that, nothing else matters. And you have that new energy of, and purpose. So that was amazing.
So now it is 2021, and Madison and I were just having a worship night by ourselves in our house. It was like around our birthday, February.
Yeah, it was right there.
And I just remember I was speaking in tongues, just in my spirit language, and this was kind of like never before. I felt a change in my tongues, and I went into this open vision type thing where I literally saw an angel come and stand before me and put his hand, like wave me on, like come with me. And so as I went, I like threw open these windows, and instantly I was overlooking like a city in Paris. I knew I was in France. Don't ask me how, I've never been there before. But I heard the sounds of the streets. I saw all the lights, and I think this was an actual transportation in the spirit. Mm-hmm. And instantly, God just showed me this huge angel coming down and taking its place on top of the Eiffel Tower. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa. At first, I could not tell if it was good or bad. I just felt that it was an angel of judgment. And the ones that we kind of hear about in the book of Revelation where it said they had bowls that they were about to pour out, that's kind of what I was getting when I saw this. It was humongous. And it came down and just stood on top of the Eiffel Tower. And my vision was as if I was like zooming in to this angel. Like I was on the ground and then I'm coming up and seeing it. And he then pointed. And as he pointed, it zoomed over to England, where it was the Big Ben clock tower. And an angel came down and took its place on top of that tower. And then he pointed quickly and it went to the Statue of Liberty. And another angel came down on top of the Statue of Liberty. He pointed down to Brazil, where the statue of Jesus, or I believe it's Jesus, with his outstretched arms. An angel came on top of that. And then he pointed lastly to an archway. And all I knew was that this archway was in Africa, but I've never seen it before, nor was I given what the name of it. But it was an archway, a giant archway, and the angel came, and it was in Africa. And a large angel stood on top of that. And I did not know what they were. They were just angel judgment. Then the vision ended, and I was done. But I was very.
I remember you saying that you couldn't tell, like the look on their face. It was not of like happiness, but it was not of anger. It was just what it was, and that's why you weren't sure exactly what they were to do. But that kind of reminds me of all these places that you saw these angels land. If you think about it, are places where groups and groups of people go. A tourist go to those main attractions. Their eyes are all on those specific things in those countries, Right. And I heard before that a lot of witchcraft or whatever, they'll curse these things because so many people are looking at it. Yeah. Take that for what it is, okay, guys? Don't be like worried to go look at these things. But I'm just saying, if it is judgment, it's just interesting that you would see these angels coming and landing on these monuments.
Yes.
And really, what it reminds me of is that cloak of silence that we saw, that we talked about in our last few episodes, where Jordan saw this cloak of silence that was over the United States, like years back, before any of this. And it was blocking us from hearing the voice of God. And they were held down by 4 pigs. And those pigs were of contentment, silence, depression, and bereavement. And we talked about how in our last 4 states of the journey, we felt like these were getting knocked off, and we felt like this cloak of silence was coming off the earth. So as I was reading in scripture, I just looked up like the four corners or whatever, 4 pegs, and the Lord brought me to Revelation 7, which is about the angels. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth. So maybe it wasn't just over the United States, but these are over the entire earth.
Over the world. Maybe.
Holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. Mm-hmm. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Mm. So these angels were of judgment. These angels were the ones bringing the harm to the land. Do not harm the land or sea or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. So this is when everyone is sealed, those with God's name on their forehead. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Mm-hmm. And that's just crazy because then the tribulation is released from there. Upon the earth. Wow. And that is kind of what we are seeing by the end of our tour, that this correlates, with the cloak of silence, with the 4 pigs being released and set off. So
the wrath of God coming in judgment.
Here.
Yeah, and we don't know. We don't know because there could be so many angles of this, but that is pretty wild. 4 angels with the 4 corners of the earth and the 4 pegs of the cloak of silence. I mean,
yeah. Wow.
So, okay. So, Taylor, when did you have that vision of those angels?
It was February 2021.
2021. Okay, perfect. Because that's going to lead me into what the visions that I had in 2021. So, January 13th, 2021, basically, God was starting to remind me of the stones. He was like, do not forget those 12 foundational stones. And this one day, I think I was praying with a couple friends, and in the middle of that prayer, I just went into this vision that was unlike anything I had seen before, and I saw this giant clock.
The clock that I first saw when we returned home quickly from Nashville.
That is what we realized after the fact, like the clock that struck 12 that you saw.
Right.
Well, that the Lord said return home before the clock strikes 12. So I'm standing face to face with this clock, and it was huge. And it felt like a scene out of Alice in Wonderland, like where everything gets contorted and like the clock just kept growing and growing, and I'm just looking at it. And I knew that it was the clock of time, like it was heaven's clock. And all of a sudden, I saw that where the 12 numbers are, the 12 time slots, each foundational stone that was retrieved for the kingdom was placed in the slot. And as it was placed in the slot, it glowed. It was glowing. Okay, the clock fell down, like it fell down flat onto the ground, and I knew that it was again heaven's clock because it was circular and it had no end. And so, as those stones were placed,
you said it was like the threshing floor, which a threshing floor is a circle.
We learned that later after looking this up, that the threshing floor that David purchased to build the temple the temple on, to house for the tabernacle, was a threshing floor, and the threshing floor is actually a circle.
And the threshing floor is where God will judge and separate the wheat and the tares, meaning God's children from Satan's children.
Yes.
This is where he does that.
So all of that came from this clock imagery. So the clock falls down, the stones are placed in the time slots, they start glowing, and then up from the ground. So if you picture the clock is like face down on the ground. From those stones, they shot up as these pillars, these giant pillars. And I just heard.
I'm sorry. There's the stones of the wall of the Jerusalem. They were like the wall coming up.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. And then I heard the Lord say, "The foundation has been laid. The foundation has been laid." Okay, so that was January 13th, 2021. Okay, so then January 16th, 3 days later. Now I am taken back. The Lord reminds me of a vision that I had in 2020. And it was of red rocks. It almost looked as if it was in Arizona, which I've actually never even been to Arizona. But it was those red rock, like mountains. And there was this tiny little crack in the middle of that. And it was water in the crack. And then I saw this little canoe and this little crocodile man figure in the canoe standing up, paddling. And he had burnt orange, like reddish orange scales all over him. And I knew it was the angel of light. Okay, which is Satan, deception, like the angel of light. And he was wearing it's called a conical hat, and it's an Asian hat worn in the rice fields where it's like pointed and then it's round all the way around. And he had that on. And so all of a sudden, January 16, 2021, that vision is brought back to me. And now I am seeing the clock again, the giant clock, and I am seeing the hands on the clock strike 12. They line up. And as those hands strike 12, all of a sudden I see the water start draining out from underneath of that crocodile canoe. Man, the water starts draining out from underneath of him so he can't stay afloat. And the Lord said, he took my attention directly to the hands on that clock. And he said, the big hand is my hand, God's hand. The little hand is man's hand, anointed by God upon the earth. So the men that carry God's spirit upon the earth. And when the two line up and strike 12, 12 is the number of perfect government. And so that's when that is when the clock strikes 12. God's hand with man's hand went upon the earth, basically coming and uniting, and it's making the perfect government. And then Satan, that angel of light, is no longer going to be able to stay afloat. Right after that, I immediately heard 3 things. From China to Russia to the Ukraine. And then I didn't write this down, but I was hearing, and then to America. And I'm not sure about that because I wasn't 100% positive, but just putting that out there. From China to Russia to the Ukraine to possibly America. I had no idea what that means. We actually still don't exactly know what it means.
Well, you had no idea. They weren't even talking about Ukraine at the time.
No.
This is 2020.
No.
Before, you would not even know any,
No, I absolutely.
Worldly, what they were saying about it.
No.
Before any of the war broke out,
No.
God was highlighting those nations to you.
Yes. And so in this year, when all this stuff happened at the beginning of 2022, and Russia and Ukraine came to the forefront, I thought, we all looked at each other and said, okay, wow, this is marking some kind of timing with all of this.
So that was in January 2021.
Yes.
Now again, Taylor's angel vision was in February. And that same night, she got her new tongues that were, taking her to Paris. I was having a vision as well. And it was back in, I want to say 2015, 2016, when I first had this vision of a gold cement slab on the ground, okay? What I came to find out was a cornerstone. And on that cement slab that was gold, there were 2 footprints in it. And back then, in 2015, I stepped onto those footprints and my feet didn't fit. And the Lord was kind of saying, it's not time yet. And I was like, more waiting. I was so mad at that vision. Okay, fast forward to this night when Taylor is seeing the angels, and it's February now. I am immediately taken back to that gold cornerstone. And I'm on the gold cornerstone, and I'm elevated so fast into the air. And it was like, whew, and I came into this bright gold light. It was so bright. And all of a sudden, I saw the scene change to that of the Lion King. And it was of Rafiki. And God was kind of showing me this is kind of a representation of first man, monkey kind of,
oldest man.
The first man. And he was holding, what was he holding?
A staff.
Oh, he was holding his staff. And he was holding Simba, the son. And he was basically saying, and he was holding the sun out, and I heard, soon the sun will be celebrated in the kingdom. Soon the sun will be celebrated in the kingdom. And all the animals went crazy, and we're all excited. It was when he first had off Simba. So then all of a sudden it started to rain. And as it was raining, the Lord said, go into the cave and do not come out. It was the lion cave still. The rain is coming. Go into the cave and do not come out until the sign is given. And when he said go into the cave, it was reminding me of John in the book of Revelation, when he was in the cave, eating grasshoppers and honey. And when I thought about the grasshoppers, God was telling me the sign would kind of be in correlation with the great grasshopper invasion of 2019 that we ran into when we were in Nevada. You can catch that in our episode of Nevada. And I was like, when is that going to ever happen again? So that means more waiting, God? What?
Right, exactly.
I guess the sun is, whatever. The message is not coming out.
But he was also telling you that the sun being celebrated in the kingdom was not when Jesus returns. It was before he returns.
How he should be celebrated.
The way he should be here on earth.
That's right. Before how the bride should be celebrating before he comes back. That's exactly right, Taylor. Thank you. And so then that was the end of the vision. And I, again, came out of the vision, more waiting. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. Well, the next day, it was my 27th birthday. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was writing it in my journal. I was writing the vision down to remember it. And as I was writing it down, I had a memory come back to me. And it was me in my 5th grade classroom and my teacher up there. And she was saying, in 17 years, the cicadas will return. And I'm I remember being my little 5th grade self saying, 17 years, how old will I be? 27. And it was only as I wrote, it was my 27th birthday that came back to me. It came back. And I was like, oh my gosh, Taylor, are the cicadas coming back this year? Because this would be the great grasshopper invasion that the sign will be when the sun will come out of the cave or whatever. And so I looked it up, and that was when the cicadas were coming.
Yep.
So May of that year, and Maryland was the epicenter of it, which is crazy.
I remember that I was talking with a friend about that vision of the cornerstone after you had it, and all of a sudden I was led to go back, because with that we were talking about the extreme weather that was happening, and I remembered I had a journal entry written about that back from 2017. And so literally when I went back and read this is what it said. It said, I was by the pool and I was specifically reminded to pay attention to the weather. So I did, and I heard thunder. And I said, even though it was a clear sky. So in the spirit, I was hearing thunder. As I walked to my apartment, I paid strict attention to the thunder, and then I heard God say, I will restore the year of the locusts. When I got home, I looked that up and was taken to Joel 2. I specifically noticed where it mentioned thunder, and I found Joel 2:11, and here's what it says. The Lord thunders at the head of his army. His forces are beyond number, and mighty is the army that obeys his command. The day of the Lord is great. It is dreadful. Who can endure it? But what had stood out to me with you hearing about the cicadas is when I looked at this and saw, I will restore the year of the locusts. Normally we look at that and say that God's going to restore what was stolen, what the locust has eaten. But the Lord showed it to me with new eyes, and as if to say, I will restore in the year of the locusts. Mm-hmm. I will restore in the year of the cicadas, which was what you were saying. So that would be 2021. So I'm thinking
starting to restore all that has been stolen.
Exactly.
And at first, what was stolen had to be put on display for all to see.
Yes.
Which it is.
Yes, exactly. Here's what else happened. So what's very interesting is that month, May of 2021, May of 2021, is when we got invited onto His Glory to come and share this story, which we're actually going to play that for our next episode for you, our very first interview with Pastor Dave on Take 5, because that was when we recapped the whole tour for the first time. And it's pretty cool, it all together, and a lot of it was fresh then. But 2 or 3 days prior to that interview, we got word from a friend in Nashville. Now, because we were living back in Maryland, we had moved back to Maryland, and that's where we are now. But our friend from Nashville said, girls, you're not going to believe this. She sends us a picture, which we're going to put up on the screen for you to see, of our apartment buildings being burnt down to a crisp in a fire.
And not just one apartment building. Only, it wasn't like a fire that took the whole thing. It was only our section. Only our little, it was probably like a few.
Like 8.
Like 8 of them. Like 8 of them. Our little ones that were all connected. Only that one completely gone, burned down to a crisp through the ground. And they are not rebuilding it. So now when we go back, we went back to see it. They're not rebuilding it because it's not worth it. So.
One of our friends was like, girls, if that's not confirmation that when you hear from God to go, when He tells you to go, I don't know what is.
And it was in this little apartment, actually, that we received this prophecy and where we got so much revelation and just training for this mission. And we knew that someone didn't want this mission happening. And because Satan, thank goodness, is always one step behind God, we were rescued. Nothing happened.
We were gone.
Nothing happened to all the journals that were there with our plans and everything. Like, it's just really crazy if you think about it. Yeah. And now it's burnt down. All of our stuff would have been gone.
I know.
And we know that God
is
not when you hear God, that you better go and do not delay, because there is timelines that you have to fulfill.
Yes.
There are timelines you have to fulfill.
Yes. Okay, so the triple braid cord challenge for you for this week is there's a lot of hopelessness. If that's one thing, if that's that we can take away from this, that the prophecy laid out ahead of time by God. He knows every day, every one of your days, they're written out in the book of life. Do you know that each person has a book of life written about them in heaven, your life? And there is so much to live for. There is such a great purpose that each of us has to take part in ushering in this kingdom of God. And so if anything, if you get anything from this episode, I would say it's to be reminded that there is hope, that though you might be going through a painful time in your life, how could that time be used to give you that near-death experience where you have an encounter with God, where he shows you, reveals to you your purpose, and then you go out changed and on fire because you know that that's really the only thing that matters.
Well, everyone, that is the wrap for everything that we had on Tour for the Nation. I can't believe this journey has come to an end.
Wow.
That's
No.
just so crazy.
But normally from what we've learned from God is that endings are usually the beginnings.
Well, that's why our TBC always stands for to be continued.
Yes. And you know what, guys, that reminds me of that literally when we were in 2019 with the tour, all God said was, go through these 12 months, complete the tour and watch what happens. And I remember us saying we had that same feeling when we started telling the story of Tour for the Nation here on the show. The Lord, that was the assignment. He said, tell the story and watch what happens. And so we're watching, we're waiting, and we're going to keep our lamps burning in the meantime. So
it's a perfect lead into the end of our documentary that we made that we want to just show you a quick clip from.